Welcome to the Heart of Fauquier podcast. Here you'll learn the stories and tips from local business leaders and entrepreneurs who make up the heart of the community. Discover what makes Fauquier so wonderful and be inspired by the journey of local success stories. Now let's join Austin, owner of Bedrosian Cleaning Services, as we hear from today's special guest.
Welcome to today's episode of the Heart of Fauquier. Today I am here with Dusty with Blue Farms.
Blue Farm.
Wild Blue Farm, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk more about her business. I'm excited to get to know her a little bit and their business as well. I know they're new to the chamber, and that's kind of how we saw each other, and then through social media as well. But just to get started, go ahead and tell us just what the business is that you own and the farm.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for asking me to come and be on your podcast.
Yeah.
I am the owner of Wild Blue Farm, my husband and I. We are a local flower farm, family-run flower farm in Fauquier County, right here in our favorite county. And we grow our flowers organically and sustainably as possible. And we're just really, really passionate about bringing local flowers to the community.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So is that like cut flowers, or is it
Yes.
you sell plants? Or...
Yeah, so right now we're doing all cut flowers. We sell to designers as wholesale, and we also love our local public community customers. So you can find us at some local stores, some local markets, and then as well as we work one-on-one with designers and getting their flowers for arrangements and events.
Okay, awesome, cool. How long have you guys had the farm?
So this is actually just our second year farming for the purpose of getting the flowers into the hands of others. So we're fairly new, but we have dove headfirst, and we are loving this journey. It's definitely where we feel our heart has been called to. So we're always immersing ourselves in a ton of education, and it's growing really well. So we're totally enjoying this ride right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you did this the last 2 years, did you have the farm before that, and just it wasn't dealing with the public so much, or did you guys have other jobs?
Yes. Well, so I became a stay-at-home mom when my first child was born about 9.5 years ago. And we lived kind of, as many people do in Northern Virginia, when we first got married, kind of all over Northern Virginia. We started in Arlington, and as the years went on, we continuously kept moving further and further out.
Yeah.
And it was 4 years ago. We purchased our land 5 years ago, moved there after our home was built 4 years ago. And so we would have our own garden and grow our own things. We knew that there was definitely a purpose for us having that land, but we waited a few years. We were in the middle of having 3 very young children, and so it was kind of hard to take on a new endeavor in those very young early days of kiddos, having kiddos. So we kind of considered avenues, and then I ended up taking an amazing cut flower course at Fauquier Educational Farm with the amazing Mr. Jim Hankins. And I knew, like, right then and there, like, I drove home and I called my husband and I said, like, this is exactly what we're doing. Like, I felt like I was called home, and we haven't looked back since. So we took about a year of educational, every webinar, class, thing you can imagine, to fully prepare ourselves for what that was going to look like. We've made some amazing local contacts as well. And then 2 years ago, we actively started the farming process.
Okay.
So, but there was nothing on our land. It was a clear 10 acres until we put our home on. And now we're farming about 2 acres, but for cut flowers, 2 acres is a fair amount, especially when it's just right now my husband and I doing it. So
Yeah.
But I'm so sorry, I kind of got sidetracked. I became a stay-at-home mom 9.5 years ago, and my husband is a CPA, and he works for the government. So he's basically working 2 full-time jobs now between the flowers and his job, and then I'm home with the kiddos. I homeschool our children, so that is a job in and of itself, and then the flowers are also there too. So we stay busy for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very busy.
We love it though.
Cool. What all actually goes into starting a farming business? Because it's a really big thing to tackle, you know, and I mean, obviously you guys had the land and stuff, so that kind of helped, but what all goes into that process of really getting started and interacting with the public and getting sales and everything?
Yeah. So education to get started. And it's funny because I've met, and I'm so blessed to have met so many local flower farmers and others throughout the country too. And we all have our stories of none of us, or maybe very few of us, originally started out with the intention of always being a flower farmer. Like I have my master's in school counseling, and I know lawyers who have left the practice to become flower farmers. People with PhDs have left to become, and it's interesting because all of our roads before have kind of led us here, and it makes sense that we're here now. But to start, you've got to get a ton of education, and then you have to just get your hands in the dirt, and you're always learning. I've talked to seasoned growers who have been growing for over 20 years, and it's always a learning process, and you just have to be comfortable with that. So that step one, education and learning as much as you can, and then realizing what it is that you can take on, what kind of crops you want to grow. That's very important. We knew we wanted to do cut flowers. And after that, it's the equipment and actually just doing the work.
Yeah.
And for finding customers, social media has been amazing in that regard. Lots of people connect. You find like-minded people who are interested in the same things, and then the customers who are looking for the specialty thing that you're offering can also find you there. So that has just been amazing. I also think another important thing is learning to be able to change directions a little bit. You may start out thinking like, okay, I'll just offer flowers to local customers, and then I had a big reach from designers that were looking for local flowers. So being able to kind of change your sales as you need to kind of accommodate what's being offered.
Right.
So,
absolutely. Very cool.
yeah.
And you keep saying education. Is that something that you guys are just looking online at different things, or are there different groups and ways that you get educated almost formally kind of thing? Or okay.
Yeah, for sure, all of the above. The Fauquier Educational Farm is amazing here if you're looking if you're kind of interested in learning about farming as a whole.
Yeah.
And then Jim does offer that specific course on cut flowers, which is like a one evening for a few hours, and that was a great way to get our toes in the water. And then it's the age of everything is online, so you can find tons of amazing courses online. We took one from Lisa Mason Ziegler, which is called the Gardener's Workshop.
Okay.
Floret is another really, really well-known flower farm out on the West Coast, and she has amazing courses you can take, from everything from learning about your soil to harvesting your flower and how to take care of it. But now there are a million farms that offer these courses, and you can kind of find your niche and what you're most interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And so online is such a great avenue. And then there's definitely in classes. This past year, because of COVID, obviously has been
mostly online.
a little bit weird, but
yeah.
But things are starting to open up more, and there's definitely ways to social distance for people to go onto farms and learn a lot. So
okay, very cool, awesome. What kind of, you said different niches and wanting to know exactly what kind of crop you wanted to do. What kind of flowers do you guys focus on?
So right now we grow at least over 75 different varieties of flowers.
Wow.
Starting in the spring, we'll have peonies and tulips and all those gorgeous spring flowers. And then we transition into summer flowers with lisianthus and sunflowers and zinnias and the traditional flowers there. Mm-hmm. And then as we go into fall, we'll be offering dahlias, which are always very, very popular and beautiful. And kind of those summer flowers transition into fall, and you make sure you have crops that are planted that are more those beautiful orange and burgundy and yellow kind of fall colors. So we grow a ton of variety.
Yeah.
Both annuals and perennials.
Okay. Very cool. So do you guys have like this huge indoor thing you have to do during the early spring to get the seeds going, or like?
Yes.
Okay.
So our basement is full of grow lights.
Yeah.
And some of our plants we start 5 months before they even hit the ground. So there's a lot of love and care that go into the flowers that you're receiving at springtime. there's a lot of love and care that goes into them beforehand. And that's why, another thing that we're so passionate about here at our farm, and we found a lot of other farmers obviously are passionate about this too, is local and the benefits of local. Because you're going to get a flower fresh off the farm here, you'll probably get at least twice as long of a vase life that if you go into the grocery store and you buy a flower that maybe has been imported, and has already been in transit for 3 to 5 days before you get it. But
it's like from California or Florida
or Ecuador or
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, international.
The roses all from
So we definitely are proud to promote local flowers, and if you can't get immediately local, because that can be a little tricky in the wintertime, definitely USA grown flowers is something we're absolutely passionate about. But
very cool. I didn't have the same questions earlier, but for people who are, so right now everyone's excited about spring. It's finally getting warmer. I think we hit like 80 degrees earlier this week, so that was awesome.
It was amazing.
So people are really itching to get their gardens going and stuff like that. So I know you do the cut flowers, but since you grow them, do you have any tips for people who are wanting to get their hands on the dirt right now in the spring?
Get your hands in the dirt.
Yeah.
That is like my number one tip. I know it sounds like it's not very helpful, but I feel like it's an immediate energy booster, and you can learn so much about literally playing in the dirt.
Yeah.
So it's a great time to get you can start some of your starter plants right now, which is a wonderful time. Now's a great time to prep your soil, getting that amazing compost, that gold we call it, to get into that ground and really fertilize everything, prepare that ground. Weeding, start doing that right now. And then just, it sounds basic, but it's so true, and we even do it ourselves sometimes. It's just reading the back of your seed packages and finding out when they're supposed to go in. A lot relates to that last frost, so you can go online for your zone and figure out when that last frost date approximately is, and then just reading what it is you want to grow and what's the best time to take care of them and get them in the ground and just start caring for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was kind of surprised. What's the frost date here? It's pretty late, isn't it? Later than I thought.
We can get we can absolutely get
in
a
April,
late frost.
right?
I think, don't quote me because I can't remember, but yes, but then also it's so tricky because by early May we can be consistently in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so
it can be tricky.
Virginia can get a little tricky with that. So sometimes you might lose a crop a little early. Sometimes you might feel like you're a little bit behind on getting the crops back. But a lot of our plants are very forgiving, and we'll fluctuate with this a little bit on that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. So going back kind of on the business side, what's your favorite part about being a business owner and having the farm now?
My favorite part is because of what we grow, which is flowers, like hands down giving people flowers and seeing their smiles. Like, it sounds cliche, but I love seeing the joy that flowers can bring people. So that's been amazing. Making connections has been amazing. I love meeting people and hearing stories. And a lot of times when you give somebody a flower, you hear, this was my grandmother's favorite flower, or I love this reminds me of a time that I did fill in the blank. So that connection is really a beautiful thing that I really appreciate. And I've loved becoming more and more involved in our community. I am a huge fan of Fauquier County. I think there are just so many things that set this county apart and make it unique and special, and I've met wonderful people here. So having a way to become even more involved in our community has been really special and great too.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say are some of the benefits for business owners to be more involved with community? I think most of them automatically do because they're just passionate about it.
Yeah.
But with us kind of coming out of COVID, it's kind of been almost lost a little bit, the community feel. I mean, it's still been there, and I think that's why some businesses have actually been able to pull through, because that community is still there.
Yeah.
But kind of as we open back up, what do you think is the importance for business owners to be involved in community? I know, like I said, you joined the chamber. There's a lot of other ways that you can get involved. What are some of the benefits that you see as a business owner?
So one of the things that I have found to be so beautiful and amazing is community over competition. There truly is, if we can all support one another. If you follow on my Instagram, I'm always sharing other local businesses that I love and I'm passionate about, even other local farms. I'm here for it. Like, I want to see other local flower farms really thrive too. And I think that when we kind of come to it with the mindset of like, there's room at the table for everyone, let's truly just like support one another. I think that's some of the great, like, COVID affected all of us in so many ways. And so now we have this opportunity to kind of come together and approach things in a different way. It was a hard year. There have been beautiful things, but I think it's safe to say for most everybody, it was a hard year. So we went through it, and now let's kind of approach it in a more beautiful way. Like, there were things that we missed so much during that time, and a lot of that was getting to interact and be with one another. And this is just a really great way to come with a fresh set of eyes, support one another, and make it kind of a more supportive experience. And there's something for everyone around here. There really truly is. And we can help each other find those local businesses and support one another.
Right. I know that, I don't know exactly how this works, but I'm going to kind of lead into this question with that. You are a founder for a co-op, a flower co-op. I don't know exactly what you do with that, but can you share a little bit about that? Because I'm sure that has to do with community as well and everything.
Yes.
So
yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to talk about it. So a group of designers and flower growers came together. Everybody had kind of been, by the way, it's called Old Dominion Flower Cooperative.
Okay.
And there were many of us growers who were saying, like, I wish I had more of a community to be a part of. Sometimes it can feel kind of isolating when you're a farmer and you're doing your thing and you don't have a big network of farmer friends. I wish I also had a place to sell my flowers. Sometimes when you're growing something, or even when you're a small business, you have this really great thing, this really great whatever it may be, whether you're selling something, making something, but you need an avenue to get it to people.
Right.
So there were a lot of growers saying, I'm growing these beautiful blooms. I wish I had some place to get them into hands besides your traditional like farmer's market. And there were also some designers saying, wow, I really wish I could get my hands on some more local flowers. Lots of designers know the benefits of longer vase life. Almost all of us don't spray chemicals on our flowers, and imported flowers are usually covered in chemicals. So a bunch of people were all thinking the same thing. And a few ladies really took the lead. We have 2 directors that really took the lead on bringing this fruit to fruition. They reached out to 10 of us at the time and said, would you be interested in doing this? So what it is it's a local flower cooperative. It started mostly in Virginia, but now we are also working with some great farms in Maryland. So it's going to be the larger DMV area.
Okay.
And our goal is to support growers, because that is so important. So many farmers and growers just don't get the support and the recognition and let me think what I'm trying the recognition for their hard work and the support. So growers are going to be supported. Designers all around are going to be able to have access to these amazing local gorgeous blooms. There's so many flowers that can't even be imported because they don't last that long. But if you work with a local grower, you can get specialty flowers that they couldn't otherwise get.
Okay.
So we're coming together. Designers are going to be able to get those local flowers. Growers have a network and a support community, which is just huge. And it's just become this really collaborative approach that is taking off, and we're getting like a ton of interest in it, and it's beautiful. So not only are we going to get flowers into designers' hands, we are going to get flowers into our local customers' hands through markets that we're going to offer. We're going to be offering educational workshops and farm tours and just all kind of learning, like if you want to take a bouquet making class or a centerpiece arranging class, we'll be offering those too. So it's really kind of comprehensive, and it's a team approach, and it's female owned. It's 100% female owned. So it's amazing to see how strong these women are and what we're accomplishing in the flower community. So it's
absolutely
awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And this is what, Women's Month or something like that.
International
so, hey, there
Women's
you go.
Month. Yeah.
There you go. We'll throw that into the mix. Very cool. Yeah, I think that's really neat to be working together. And how long has that been going on? You've just a year or two probably, right?
Well, just pilot. So we just kind of all came together early fall. And
So less than a year.
Yeah, and Melissa and Megan, who are the directors, are really, one is a lawyer and one is a grant writer. So we have this just really strong team, and all of the growers are super smart and motivated. And so I think it's going to go to great places. So it's awesome.
It'll be a good first season to test stuff out and see how it goes.
Yes, it'll be great.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we were talking about your favorite stuff with growing a business.
Mm-hmm.
What have been some of the more complicated things or difficult things that you've had to overcome or go through?
Yeah, so I love always sharing both sides. So thank you for asking the question. So easy to hop on social media and see everybody's pretty flower pictures and things. I've had so many people say, "Wow, you're living the dream," and I'm like, I'm not frolicking through the fields.
It took a lot to make that flower look good.
Yeah, with a flowing white dress on and a
Yeah.
little basket in my hand. It's a lot of work, but when you're passionate about something, that makes the work absolutely almost enjoyable. But the hardest part for us is it is my husband and I who are the only ones working the farm. And so we've learned very quickly that it's not just being a flower farmer. And sometimes you have to balance almost equally the business side between growing the flowers.
Mm.
So there is a lot of time spent on social media and forming relationships and making connections. And then there's the business side. So doing the finances, doing the taxes, keeping track of sales. There was building a website for us. That was new. We had never done that before. There is always, as a farmer, you're always thinking ahead. So we should technically have most of our seeds and items that we're planting for 2022 already ordered.
Wow.
So you have to keep a lot of balls in the air at once. So it is definitely not just flower farming. There is a whole business side of it that I can definitely say we were not prepared for, and that there has been a learning curve. And also, as a homeschooling family, always trying to find that balance and being comfortable knowing that a lot of times there just is no balance. But at the end of the day, we enjoy it and we love it, and we can't imagine our lives not including this. So we find a way and we make it work. And sometimes we are definitely kicking rocks and saying, like, what are we thinking?
Yeah.
But when we look back overall, we're just so glad that it's part of our life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that does happen quite often for people who are starting a business either from a hobby or just something that they really enjoy doing the nitty-gritty work, and then they're working and they're like, wow, there's a lot of stuff back here in the back office or out front here to promote and market that is way out of my comfort zone. I love this part, but I want to figure this out too.
Yeah.
I think that's very relatable for any small business, in this area. So.
It is. I agree 100%. Yeah.
I know you're still working through it, but how are you guys getting through some of those things and the learning curve with that, with the marketing and the planning and everything?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're doing to work through that? Is it just kind of grinding and stuff like that, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, the main thing that I'm learning is I really find blocking time off is huge. So if I am somebody who easily gets distracted, I might be going on my phone to look up a farm that I need to reach out to, and then I'm distracted by something and then I start interacting with somebody else, and then I've lost 45 minutes. And that is just 45 minutes that I don't have. Like, every second of the day can be easily accounted for. So I need to do it more, and I need to be more efficient about it. But saying, okay, from these 2.5 hours a day is schooling. And then I'm going to give myself an hour of replying back to emails and doing anything that I need, and just really kind of sticking to that. I think with social media, while there's so many amazing things to that, it can also be a very slippery slope. So making sure that my social media presence is there and I'm happy to be connecting and interacting, but also then those next 4 hours are out in the field. And just really trying to manage the schedule as best possible, but that's way easier said than done.
Yeah, definitely. I think time blocking is really huge. And it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I've heard that as well and tried to implement it, but it's so easy to get distracted, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Even by good things.
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes,
yeah.
it's a welcome distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's good. What's kind of your plan now for the next couple years? So obviously, you're a pretty young business.
Yeah.
The co-op is very new, but
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big part of what you guys do as well.
Yeah.
Where do you guys see this farm and business going over the next few years?
Yeah. So growth. Like, we have big plans, dreams, and, we would love to get, ideally for our farm, more into those spring and fall flowers, have more hoop houses we can grow in so we can offer flowers earlier and later into the season. Really honing in on a few crops that we're specifically interested in and doing those to a much larger scale. Like I said, we're on 10 acres and right now we're growing on 2, but we would love to grow that each and every year.
Yeah.
We want to continue to grow, and that brings on new challenges and also new exciting opportunities as well. But yes, for our farm, like, we definitely want to just continue to see it grow, nurture our land, continue to have our children really be a part of it, and the sky's the limit, right? Like, we're passionate about this, so we definitely have dreams and goals. And for the flower cooperative, Old Dominion, I think it's going to take off into wonderful things and supporting our local growers, but also reaching a much larger scale, and expanding the ways that we get our flowers into people's hands here in the immediate community and even greater than that.
Right.
So it's going to be a beautiful thing, and it's not just getting the flowers into the hands, but also supporting the growers and being able to grow their businesses and their farms and doing so as well.
Right.
So
very cool. So if people want to get a hold of your flowers, how can they do that? You said that you're in a few retail places. Is that right? What you said earlier?
Yeah.
What are some of the areas where they can go grab some of your stuff?
So the best way is going onto our website.
Okay.
Our flowers are going to start becoming available. Our tulips are growing daily and getting really close. So going onto our website, we'll always list our flowers that we have available. It's wildbluefarmva.com. Okay. And follow me on Instagram, because if you follow Instagram, you'll see everything that we have available. I'm usually taking pictures and sharing that all the time. So we also occasionally have a farm stand that we have on our property. It's not an every weekend or an everyday thing, but if we have a special offering, I'll always announce when our farm stand is open on our property. Through the co-op, you're going to be able to get my flowers and 22, including myself, 22 growers in all their specialty crops, and you will find unique and beautiful blooms. I am at Vint Hill Home once the flowers start coming in bloom, so you can find me there with Shauna's amazing store. There's going to be once a month market at Vint Hill Winery that I'll be at, and then also our co-op is offering a twice a month market, a flower market. So lots of ways you can always reach out to me, and then our local designers, who we are so passionate about, use our flowers in their design. So if you're looking for something a little bit more formal or a little bit more of an arrangement outside of your farm fresh bouquet, I have some amazing designers. You can always reach out to me, and I'll be so happy to share how they can help you get those events and those beautiful designs too.
Awesome. Very cool. Hopefully we can get some events more this year, so you guys can get these flowers to the events.
That was a wave to ride for sure, but I think people are ready for life to come back and for interactions and for beautiful things. So
we'll get some weddings and banquets and whatever going on this summer, and some gatherings. You can get the flowers there. So very cool. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dusty.
Thank you for having me, Austin.
Learning about your farm and everything. I think people are loving to hear about flowers right now. Just as spring is coming, it's a good topic to talk about. So,
good thing, yeah.
And best of luck as you guys grow with your farm and the co-op and everything. There's a lot going on. So
yeah, thank you so much.
Very cool.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of The Heart of Fauquier. If you loved joining us today, give this podcast a great review and subscribe to keep up with new episodes. If you have an office in Fauquier that needs a cleaning service, reach out to Bedrosian Cleaning Services and see how they can serve you. Until next time, thanks for listening.